Yo. All right. Zach Butler Cattle Company here with a legend in the industry, a legend to say the least. Brent, how are you today?
Oh, good, good. I appreciate this opportunity to get together and visit a little bit, Zach.
Well, I appreciate you letting me pick your brain. I know we're excited to launch our February Genetic Legend sale, and we're spotlighting probably one of the hottest bulls out right now, the Flint Bull, LT Flint Bull. Uh, uh, First, before we kind of dive into that, give the everyone that's listening who's Brent Thiel and why are you so important?
Yeah, well, certainly not important, but I'll give you a little background. Grew up in South Dakota on primarily a sheep and cattle operation, mostly sheep, and uh, had the opportunity to work for the American Charolais Association when I left university, and then went into partnership with Les Linsko in 1987, and have been here ever since. And Les and I had a great relationship over those years, and so we ended that all amiably approximately 3 years ago, and his sons have taken over the operation, and my wife Nancy and I have kind of stepped back. She did all of the semen invoices, registrations, a lot of the business side of it, and so it allows us a little more chance to see some grandkids in that. And so I sold them all of the Charolais genetics and most of the Angus, and I just kept kind of what I thought was maybe the top end or a representation of the cows. And so it's been a great experience, and affords me an opportunity to see a little more family, but still be in the ranching business.
Well, I was up there, and unfortunately, you were down playing cowboy in South America, so I was jealous. But we toured that pen of cows along the highway there, and me and Dallas Woltemath, we went through 4 or 5 ranches, and I could probably say that if I had to pick a pen of cows, uh, that was probably one of the nicer set of cows, consistent. And there was even a cow in there. I was like, gosh, I'd love to have that one. And then I turned the corner. I was like, ooh, what about that one?
Yeah.
Gosh, that was a lovely set of cows along the highway there. And they were out in real ranch country. They weren't being pampered by any means. You definitely got some fantastic cows up there.
Well, you're very kind, and I appreciate you taking the time to look at them, and they are kind of what they are. But I try to run those cows. We have good grass here, good hard grass, and I try to take advantage of that. But I intentionally don't feed any silage or any of those kinds of things. I want those cows, like today, they're out grazing, and when it's really cold, like the last few days, we supplement them. But I try to make them as real as I can, and I made a lot of mistakes over the years too, Zach.
Well, you know what they say is good decisions come from experience, and experience comes from bad decisions. So you
Well,
can't have some success without getting kicked in the teeth a few times.
well, I got a lot of gray on the roof, so that might be the best.
I need to get back up there and see the next calf crop. I was super impressed with a bunch of stuff that I saw. I know we were exchanging some texts afterwards, but this Flint Bull is super intriguing. Out of Badlands. I guess my first question is, give me the scoop on the bull from your perspective.
Sure. Josh and Steve Monin were kind enough to buy the bull last year in our sale, and he was one of the high selling bulls, but a bull that really had a lot of friends. Select Sires was one of the semen companies that bid on the bull, along with all the way down the line from Shane talking to him to lots of really good cattlemen. But anyway, it's very flattering. But kind of more importantly, he's probably kind of the bull that kind of fits in the middle, and a bull that I AI'd to this year. And I've had the opportunity to see him once this summer, and then a couple of weeks ago at 605 Sires. And it sounds kind of canned, but actually I probably like him every bit as good or better as he matures. And it's just one man's opinion, but when you look at him, the bull comes together pretty nice, really front to rear. I've always really liked his head, and like a lot of the Badlands cattle, he has some crest and some masculinity. And when you get around behind him, there's quite a bit of bull to look at and a lot of scrotal. He's always been a big semen producer, and I think that's something that's really important and sometimes can be heritable.
I mean, not that the hottest thing out is always the best thing, but I can attest there was 3 different people that texted me after I saw him at 605 Sires. Each of those people saw him, probably 3 months later, I think. And it was almost the verbatim same thing, is that he looks better and the pictures that you sent me several months ago. And so I would love to get up there and see him again. But when I was there, feet's a big thing for me, and it had great feet, look sound, and the performance aspect. I like that he was kind of in the middle because a lot of my donor cows are larger framed, heavy performance that could use a little help on the birth weight side.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll start getting some calves here in about 3 or 4 weeks, and the proof will come pretty fast. He got a nice representation last spring, and also quite a few cows flushed to him and that sort of thing. So a lot of that's going to kind of wash out pretty quick. One of the nice things is, and we always look forward to the future and what these bulls might turn into. But of the bulls we've raised recently, I think he's a real candidate to have a lasting presence. Hopefully in 4 or 5 years, people may still be talking about this bull. A couple of weeks ago, I had a guy call me and say, well, has his feet ever been trimmed? And I said, no, not that I know of at all. And he stands on a good square foot. And if you jumped in the old pickup and went out and looked at his mother, you can see she's got a rock solid set of feet. And a lot of people came here last spring and over the course of the summer admired that cow. She's got another very nice bull calf this year, and just kind of a cow that gets it done and stays AI bred. And so to me, that's a big deal and a real nice attribute for a young cow.
Yeah, and so there's the purebred seed stock, there's the commercial guy. Here in the Northeast Nebraska, a lot of the commercial guys I talk to, they want performance and calving ease, which sometimes kind of sounds like an oxymoron, but the bulls that around it really got used heavily kind of had that proof in the pudding. And again, I think this has got to be one of the most requested bulls for us, because we're I think one of the only outfits out there that is doing a fairly well-known embryo sale that are using it to bulls that aren't our own. And we depend on people like you that we trust to help give us the right bulls to use. I guess from a commercial guy to a seed stock, if we start with the seed stock side, is there a preferred cow that you think this bull would be used on to create other seed stock females and bulls?
Oh, I'm not sure that I'm sharp enough to know, but in my own matings, I actually bred him to, 2 or 3 different types of cows, and my cows are fairly similar and probably just kind of average cows on paper. But I think his conformation is good enough that he may class up a few heads on a few cattle that are maybe great cattle, but could use just a little more style. And I really like the way the bull carries down. He's got a little bit of natural ability in the lower 1/3 of his body for a bull with that much performance. He's not tubular and he's not pencil gutted or anything like that. And, if you look at the Badlands daughters, my oldest ones are coming 4, and they do have some natural flank and rib. And I'm hoping that transmits when Flint gets into business.
Well, I was the consistency in that cow pen with the level of quality of those cows, the consistency was important. And when I typically tour a ranch, I like to go find the female of those bulls that sold really well, and they darn sure better be good. And that Ashley cow, great feet, looked great. You could kind of spot her from a mile away, I feel like. And so there's no doubt why this bull's getting the attention. It's got the look, he's got the performance. He comes from proven stock, and we're seeing a large demand for that bull right now. I guess if anybody listening that hadn't heard of you, the LT program, or the Thiel Ranch, or this bull, I guess, what would you tell them on some of why you choose the matings or the research that you do?
Well, Bob Gordon was the first bull selector that came here in approximately 1988 or 89, and Bob and Joyce were here, and they were selecting for Alta, and his advice rang pretty true. He said, take care of your commercial customers, and the seed stock breeders will find you or come and go as they so choose. And so his words resonated with me, and Bob had a great eye for cattle and had a good knack and a good gut instinct for cattle that had more to offer than just what's on paper or just what they looked like. And Bob was pretty well balanced. And so I've tried to follow that. And as I said earlier, stubbed my toe a lot of times. But, when a bull like this comes along, you just kind of get a little excited. And hopefully, there's an old song, when the dew wears off of the crystal chandelier. And I'm kind of hoping this bull stays kind of bright as time goes on. And he may or may not, but he does have the makings and soundness and scrotal and phenotype and disposition, that he may just bat pretty well.
Well, there's not many bulls that large programs such as Monen's, dive into, and I have a lot of respect for those guys. They make their sole living out there on raising Angus cattle for commercial guys and seed stock guys, and so it's important to make sure that they get consistency and they get proven genetics and work with people like yourself. And so it's a pleasure to have you on today. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. We're excited to launch the February Genetic Legends sale with this as the spotlight across all of our donors. And it should be a big one. So appreciate the time, Brent.
Yep. Thanks. And I wish you the very best. I can't thank you enough for the time.